Okay, so I came up with this recipe for an event that we did down at our church last weekend. I made a much larger batch. I think we were serving 150 people. But it was so delicious, and I got so many compliments on it. And my oldest son went absolutely crazy for it, so I thought I would show you how to do it. I'm going to show you how to make a roasted tomato bisque, and that's just a dressy up way of tomato soup. It's very super simple. It was a fundraiser at the church, so I wanted to come up with a way to get the most flavor out of the fewest inexpensive ingredients, which is kind of my specialty. So let me show you what I've done up until this point. Alright, so I've got a video. If you need to know how to do this, I've got a video already posted on how to roast garlic. And that's 1 head of garlic, roast it off, little salt, olive oil, 350-degree oven, wrap in foil, give it an hour. In this case, I took 2 cans of diced tomatoes, and this was the petite dice, you know, the little pieces, and I drained it. I've got the juice back here, but I ran it through the thing, and then I threw that with a little olive oil and salt and pepper in a 350-degree oven, and I let this go until it got nice. See how thick it's gotten? And you've got these little caramelized bits down in here. I mean, this already, you can tell the difference immediately. What happens when you roast these off is you've gotten rid of a lot of the moisture in here, and you have intensified and brightened up the flavors, right? So you get a much deeper, richer flavor and pretty awesome texture too. Okay, don't let me skip steps. About a tablespoon of olive oil, half of an onion, 1 small carrot, 1 stalk of celery. Sauteed that for about 5 or 6 minutes. Now we're going to take everything that we've got here, and we're going to throw it in the pot. My oldest, Ricky, had the last of the leftovers yesterday, and there weren't any leftovers, but he had cleaned all the tomato soup. And he was heating it up and burning his mouth and eating more anyway. So I always say that the good food is the stuff that's worth burning your mouth over. It's like that bite of pizza where you just scald everything and you don't care, you go back for another bite. Alright, so even the roasted garlic in there. Don't worry about the chunks. We're going to puree this. I borrowed a blender. Took it to the church and I blended all the soup. I'm coming home with it and dropped it on the porch. So I'm actually not using my favorite method. I would like to use a blender, work in small batches and whiz it all together. Alright, so the onions, or the mirepoix, the onion, celery, and carrot, roasted garlic, roasted tomatoes, that's all we got so far. A couple bay leaves. And this is just the juice that I drained out of the tomatoes. And I feel like if you want that extra tomato taste, don't waste your juices. We've intensified the flavors of the tomatoes themselves. So instead of using water or broth of some kind, put that juice right back in there. Alright. This is the boring part. There's not going to be a whole lot happening. What we're going to do here is let this come up to a boil. We're going to turn the heat down and let it simmer for about 10 minutes. That's all it's going to take, right? So at this point, give it a pinch, and you've seasoned the tomatoes and you've seasoned the garlic. So go easy. Remember, you want to season in layers so that everything tastes good. So at the end, you don't have to do much more than tweak the seasonings. That makes it taste seasoned, not salty. Alright, so now I'm going to bring this up to a boil and let it simmer for about 10 minutes, and I'll come back and show you. I'll be back in a minute. So we gave it, I don't know, 10 minutes, not very long. And now we're going to puree it. Now we do want to go ahead and get rid of these. The bay leaves, they've given us what they had. And now they're done. I know there's another one in here. There it is. I quite often just forget to take the stupid things out. Alright, and then I've got a bunch of fresh basil right here. Give a little chiffonade. That's a fancy term, isn't it? There's your cooking term for the day. Chiffonade, that just means you've rolled it up, stacked them together, and they make little ribbons. Pretty cool, huh? And it doesn't really matter because we're about to whip it all to pieces anyway. Alright, so this is the part where I'd really rather have a blender because it's going to become napalm with this thing. This is an immersion blender. So this just works. Actually, I'm turning the heat off for a minute. And this is going to get real uninteresting while I finish this. So we'll cut in just a second, but I'll show you how we get it started. So you just place it down in there. And what we're going to end up with is very smooth and silky. Now, yes, this is incredibly thick. That's okay. We want to keep it as thick as possible until we have finished pureeing it. See, I'm not burning myself. I know it. So we want to keep it as thick as possible until we finish pureeing it, because that'll show us how much more liquid we need to add, okay? So I'm going to sit here and sacrifice myself for the soup. I'll puree the rest of it. Take my chops. Anyway, I'll show you what it looks like when it's all pureed. We'll be ready to adjust the thickness, add the cream. Just wait. Okay. So I pureed it. I didn't go all the way till it was super silky smooth, which you can do if you want to. I actually left it. See? Not silky. Oh my gosh, it's good. And I did go ahead and I threw in, I'd say about 2 cups of chicken broth, because it was too thick. And you don't really want to use water. If you have more tomato juice, that's absolutely perfect, because you don't want to get rid of that intense tomato flavor. And then I've got about half a cup of cream. And at this point, we're done. Okay? So, stir that in. Stuff is ridiculously good. Okay. It does not need salt and pepper. You know, if you season, as you're cooking, season each layer, the end result is so much better. So I'm going to come over here and show y'all what we have. Now, if you are not as disorganized as I am, and you don't chop up all your basil and forget to leave yourself one to garnish with, you could do a couple of things with this. You could top it off with a couple of fresh basil leaves. That'd be really pretty. Or what I did last weekend was I made some basil oil, just garlic, olive oil, and basil, a little salt and pepper, and you blend that until it's real smooth. And then you have a really bright green oil that's just beautiful. But, I don't know, how close can you get to that? Can you get it? I tell you, that's about the best tomato soup you'll ever eat. Roasted tomato with roasted garlic and basil tomato bisque. I don't think I'm going to tell the kids about this one. More for me.